What's one thing you'll never buy an off-brand version of again? Cat litter. I wanted clumping, not piss-laden cement. IDK if you've already tried this, but pine litter is so nice. It turns into a powder when it gets wet, but it traps in smell way better in my opinion. After 25 plus years in construction, tools. Also, batteries. Good tools are so important. Bought a cheap screwdriver set with those detachable tips. The tips stripped so easily. Must have been made out of tin foil. Paint. Cheap paint is trust me and get the name brand stuff, otherwise you're just going to need it eventually to paint over that patchy cheap shit. I second this. I work for a company that does professional cleaning. Sometimes we have to scrub walls. Cheap paint doesn't hold up. Good quality paint cleans easier, and still looks good when we're done. This is the worst. I've used magic erasers on walls tons of times. Used it at the new place I'm renting where the guy uses Glidden and now the wall has a canker sore. Glidden is such garbage paint. It used to be okay quality, but it's rapidly declined into tinted water over the years. I read recently of a massage therapist on Reddit that bought a cheaper table off Amazon, and the first day it broke when an overweight client crawled up in it. She left in tears. They have weight limits. Cheap tables, chairs, and the like usually have a limit around 150 to 100. Please tell me this limit is in kg and not lbs. I really hope it's in kg, cause that is a very weak table otherwise. Bra. I used to always buy something cheap that looked nice enough. Only recently I went to a lingerie shop for the first time to get properly measured. Bought 2 sets of bra and panties that actually fit perfectly and both feel and look great. My life quality improved in an instant. This is a great answer. I still remembered when I discovered the beauty of a bra that actually fits. Who knew that I was not actually the standard 36DD they tell most larger breast women in the USA, but instead a 34FF. My go-to brand is Fantasy with side support. The difference is unreal. I buy a new one every year on my birthday. I hand wash them and still use them for years up and have beautiful colors and patterns. Scotch tape. Freaking hate Dollar Tree Scotch tape. Same with post-it notes. Cheap ones have different adhesive and are crap. Dollar store post-its are so depressing. Watching them fall off is like dropping your ice cream cone or your balloon deflating. People buy post-its. I thought everyone just stole them from work. Shoes. Especially running. My back will never recover. You don't want to go cheap in those items that go between you and the ground. Shoes. Mattress. Tires. Hamburger buns. Airplanes. Vacuum cleaners. Eventually you just stop vacuuming completely when it isn't strong enough or easy to use. For me it's the insane noise of cheap ones. Expo markers. The off-brand ones either put gobs of ink on my whiteboard or run out in half the time Expo does. Plus, most of them are a pain to clean off the board and never erase fully. Band-aids. Cheap band-aids, especially when you need to use them on your fingers. I'm a server and can go through at least 6 or 7 cheap band-aids in one shift for one cut because they fall off as soon as they get wet. I love tough strips because they actually stay on when they get wet, so I only end up changing it maybe once just to be hygienic. Next pair is best. Never goes on sale though. Work boots. 3 hours in a pair of Walmart $30 Brahmas is worse than 300 hours in even a pretty cheap pair of Wolverines. Yo. Seriously, you had me until you said Wolverines. Treat yourself, Red Wings are live. I also had a pair of Doc's steel toes a few years back that were pretty amazing once I broke them, and they are heavy though. Like I built some muscle wearing those. Obviously a niche market, but piercing needles and nitrile gloves. The amount of times I've worked for guys who buy cheap is maddening. Having 2 or 3 gloves rip in a row as you put them on will drive the sanest man to a breaking point. As for the needles, it was awful. I went from using needles that went through like butter to being able to feel every fiber I was going through almost as if they were barbed. And Dr. Thunder. Cheap gloves are so damn annoying, especially if you're working in an environment where cheap means 10 pairs of gloves in a day. I work in a tooling shop and often come into contact with solvents. A good pair of nitrile gloves will generally hold up pretty well for a short time to something like lacquer thinner. A cheap pair of nitrile gloves or God forbid, latex will start breaking apart within 10-20 seconds. When using that kind all day, broken gloves start to add up fast. Saran wrap. The dollar store only clings to itself. Never my dishes. Not really off-brand, but there were these tampons that were cheaper than my usual and were also eco-friendly. I remember feeling so good about finding something Greenpeace would love me for just to have bits of fluff fly everywhere in my bathroom the second it opened up. They hadn't even pressed the tampon into shape. It was literally just a loose cotton scam that, had I shoved it up my hoo-ha, would have left me living the life of a stuffed bear to this day. Edit. Thanks heaps to those of you who suggested getting a cup. I'd done it before and found it difficult, but through some advice here I've found one that is meant to be right for me by doing this quiz. Hope it helps others too. Must have been from Build-A-Bear's new adult line. I'd award this comment, but if Reddit has taught me anything, it's don't buy Reddit coins. Don't buy cheap tampons either. Video game controllers. LMAO I bought a Gamestock brand controller because it was $20 over a legit Xbox controller that cost $60. The thing needed batteries but didn't have a slot that opened up to insert batteries, and had a fake USB port. What the actual edit. This was way back in high school and I can't find a link for the life of me, but I'm glad Mena shared in my pain. Crying face. Also I popped my Reddit 1k cherry, so thank you everyone. Gamestock brand. Sounds like a small company making a bunch of cheap tea for Gamestock to brand and sell. Kinda like Amazon Basics. Do car tires count here? Everyone is mentioning food, but Jesus please, if you are a young person, hear me out now. Don't cheap out on your tires. I second this. Buying high-end winter tires makes a huge difference in driving performance. What if I live in a place that doesn't have winter? With good quality tires, you can drive somewhere that does. Anything from wish.com. I bought a tablet off of Wish, and I really did my homework. Triple checked all the stats for a week before deciding to pull the trigger. It finally came, and had about a 3-minute battery life. L couldn't get most apps because it was running some janky off-brand version of the Android OS, and it was slower getting a pothole fixed. I broke the screen by accident and opened up the back to see if it could be replaced. 90% of the tablet's volume was styrofoam packing so it wouldn't rattle. There was one singular circuit board the size of a playing card taped on the back of the screen, with 4 wires running out of it, one to the headphone jack, one to the charging port, one to the screen and one into the only other component, a plastic bag, also taped to the back of the screen. I wondered what it could possibly be, and my only thought was that the battery was in that bag. I cut it open and realized that the battery was the bag. Just a bag of lithium with wires running in and out. Never bought another thing from Wish again. For a lot of things now, I'll avoid the Amazon's Choice version of it. Their quality control is absolute garbage, and I've had far too many things break down or not do their job at all. Amazon's Choice is a garbage label slapped on whatever the algorithm wants to get out of the warehouse quickly. It doesn't mean they have actually ever looked at the product, let alone recommend it. Amazon Basics tend to be okay. Classic Dawn dish soap. By far the most effective and more than justifies the cost. A little goes a long way. Also, mixing it 3/4 Dawn to 1/4 water, even half and half, gets a lot more value out of each bottle with no negative effect. Why not just use a tinier squirt to the dishwater? As a janitor that often needs to mix cleaning chemicals by eye, it's just easier to get the dilution right. Simply because if it's half as strong as full concentration, then you're more likely to undershoot than overshoot, which isn't a problem. You can always add more, but you can't take out the extra soap. The only way to correct an overshoot is to add more water, but that's just wasting soap. Mechanical pencils. It's so nice to have a finely crafted writing utensil even if it's a bit expensive, and the cheap ones don't cut it once you stop using them. Appreciating a nice pencil is something I love. Also, regular pencils. The pencils I will so enjoy are Ticonderoga pencils. I say the eraser is what matters and whether or not the tip will snap weirdly. Worcestershire sauce. I eat so much bad food I am just waiting for the day for my doctor to tell me that I need to buy the low sodium version of Worcestershire sauce, at which point I will leave him for another medical provider. So here I am thinking I would save money and buy the store brand contact solution, and then there I go getting pink eye 4 times in 3 months. Clear care for life. I doc here. Fully agree. Crayons, colored pencils. No rose art for me or my future children. I actually remember a fist fight breaking out over rose art crayons in elementary school. You would probably be better off coloring with a candle. Goodies hair ties. All those tangle-free off-brands are garbage. I bought 3 packs because I used to go through them so fast. 2 years later I haven't opened the last 2 packs. As a thick-haired person who moved to Wales, it took me a long time to find the right brand here. I used to require people who visited me to bring either coffee creamer, marshmallow matties, Gatorade, or Goodies hair ties. There is nothing like the rage I feel when a hair tie snaps, and I almost never have that with Goodies. It's more likely to stretch out than snap, and that I can deal with. Flea medication. I bought an off-brand at the store a few years ago and came home to both my cats needing to go to the emergency vet. They had neurological issues. My male had a seizure, and my girl nearly died. Buy your flea meds straight from the vet, y'all. Ritz crackers. Off-brand foods are usually hits or miss, but off-brand Ritz crackers are a hard no. Everything's wrong. The texture, the taste, it's just, no. Dr. Pepper. Every store has its own generic soda brand, and every one of them gets their version of Dr. Pepper wrong. Some of the names are amusing, but that's about the only good thing about them. Funnily, in the Netherlands, Dr. Pepper contains artificial sweeteners now. The rip-off Dr. Foots is what is preferable, and much cheaper. Pads. You've never experienced discomfort if you've never worn a cheap pad. Oreo cookies. My family bought generic everything, but that was definitely the worst. Oreos are technically the knockoff. The original is Hydrox, which is a terrible name for a cookie. True. I much rather prefer the sound of Oreos and milk than Hydrox and chloroquine. Hydrox y chloroquine. Mi amigo. 100% headphones edit. I expected 30, not almost 1K, and the current one is Sinhisi. E2 prob misspelled it for it's like a text support mic look, but good mic quality and sound. Ones I'm talking about are some off-brand $20 headphones, and I bought one a second time. You know when you walk from a PC and forget headphones, it happens 2 times. Headphones. I finally broke down and splurged for the Jabra 65T Bluetooth earbuds. Between the sound quality and the noise isolation, by far the best I ever owned. Brakes. Never cheap out on your car's brakes. They are the only thing stopping your car and could mean the difference between life and death in some circumstances. Instant Pot. The generic electric pressure cookers will work, but have absolutely design and last nowhere as long. And they try to BS features like slow cooked, where you assume it would work as a crock pot for actual slow cooking. No. They mean waste 6 hours of your time allowing your food to enjoy a nice steam, and not cook at all. Pressure cookers are also very dangerous. Literally a bomb waiting to go off. Toilet paper. Charmin Ultra Strong every time. My butt deserves the best. Love this stuff. It's like wiping your ass with a bath towel. Shoes. Definitely shoes. Every off-brand pair I've gotten wear out completely in about 3 months of wear. Brand name shoes last year's edit. Thank you for the award, kind stranger. Beds and bedding. Not necessarily off-brand, but if there's one thing you spend money on, make sure it is those. You can't put a price on getting consistent good nights of sleep. Jigsaw puzzles. Turned out to be so low quality that the puzzle pieces bent and almost ripped when you tried to pull them apart. A mattress. I made the mistake of trying to save money and bought a cheap mattress. Never again. I went and bought an expensive one, and my sleeping has been heavenly, along with some nice pillows as well. Pay the extra for a good name brand, both mattress and pillow. Automotive parts. After working on cars for 20 years, I trust dealer parts over parts house brands. Don't trust something just because it says OEM quality. They can put that on anything. Cheap condoms have expensive consequences. Cheez-It crackers. Any other type of cheese cracker, looking at you, especially cheese nits. can take a long walk off a short pier. The only other cheese cracker that was good was Better Cheddars, but they apparently don't sell them anymore. Better Cheddars are still around. I just bought a box a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they are limited to certain areas? Jeans. I bent over and they all ripped at the seams. Luckily had some shorts in car. Where I used to work they supplied the uniform and the black pants were notorious for blowing out the ass at random. Not a good idea when your employees are expected to properly lift 30-60 pounds multiple times a day. SSDs or external hard drives you store data on. If your data is important enough to back up to an external drive, make sure the drive itself is reliable. Raisin Bran. Sounds weird but the generic brands are horrible. Rocks for raisins and the flakes are like cardboard. For only the finest breakfast experience. Kellogg's trademark sign Raisin trademark sign Bran trademark sign stands out as the superior choice, making you the envy of all your friends and family. Disclaimer, I totally work for the Kellogg's trademark sign marketing department and make a shitload of money off this post from my summer home in the Hamptons trademark sign. I knew this post seemed familiar. How are you, Bob? Bob and I go way back when we shared an icy cold Coca-Cola, the favored soft drink beverage of the United States and world renowned for its bubbly refreshing goodness, available at your nearest store and choice of only the best restaurants around in the Hamptons. Pop-Tarts. Mom always said the store brand was the same. It wasn't, Mom. Honestly, I would say pads tampons. Yes, I know that name brand products are expensive, but seriously, that's one of those things that you need to have worked well. Mountain Dew. You mean Moist Hill? Jelly Bellies. All other beans are subpar. Freezer bags. That is Ziploc bags. Dawn dish soap. Gummy bears. Haribo or go home. Phone chargers. The cheap one worked for a week, so I had to buy the brand name charger anyway. Makeup. I've always been hesitant to spend a lot of money on makeup, until I started trying the higher quality name brands, and it makes such a huge difference. The more expensive makeup actually does apply better, wears lighter and longer, and doesn't smudge or run. Hummus. I once bought hummus at a discount supermarket in Germany. It had sugar in it. I bought sushi at Walgreens once and it was one of the most disgusting things I have ever tried. Ate one bite and threw it out, but I mean I guess I should have expected it and at least I didn't get sick. For a while I had to live in College Station, TX while my girlfriend was finishing school. I routinely witnessed this woman purchase sushi from a Kroger in College Station, TX. I was in awe of her beauty and her bravery. When I took her to head she had that frustrated look of someone who had been drinking from a hot sun-bleached garden hose because they didn't notice the fridge of smart water 2 feet to the left. Kroger actually has some pretty decent sushi. It doesn't compare to a nice sushi restaurant, but for what it is it's pretty great. Cheap pastrami was not worth the E. coli. So, I learned my lesson the hard way. The off-brand soap gave me rashes all over the torso. The doctor peered at them without his spectacles and said it was herpes, which gave me a heart attack. He put his specs back on and assured me that it was just rashes, but too great a shock had been inflicted upon me already. Aluminum foil. Like, it's only a few cents cheaper but it's like buying silver painted tissue paper.